In this video, I want to talk about your costs. In setting budgets for your fit out, spend time talking to projected clientele. Get an idea of what makes them feel memorable in terms of their dining experience, and spend time visiting other local restaurants to take note of what works for them and what might not. Set a comfortable budget that you know your resources are available for you, and include a sufficient and appropriate level of contingency to accommodate for any unforeseen expenses. In setting budgets, it's important to understand what drives those budgets. The size or area of a restaurant and the built will be built at an average cost of between £1,500 and £4,000 per metre squared. Some mega projects will be more than that, but depending on your level and your specification, your budget should fall within this. Costs are affected by the level of the general cost to area, and this can be diluted by the effect of fixed costs. This might be something such as your kitchen, your bar, your toilets, and other necessarily directly proportional areas. Normally you should expect a proportion of approximately 60% front of house to 40% back of house when you're considering your areas. The scale of repeat fit out work will also affect your financial cost per metre squared. This is because when you're creating a new restaurant, you will spend more in your initial development than you will for your fifth or sixth restaurant. A branded coffee shop might cost £1,000 a metre squared to build, but you're unlikely to provide that same level of fit out on your initial concept for the same price. Your front of house is your customer experience, and it needs to be right to set the right concept or ambience for you. You need to also consider the number of covers that you can comfortably fit in there, but by maximising sales at the same time. Your furniture could cost typically between 20 and 35% of your budget. This will relate to fixed furniture as well as actual commercial chairs. Although when you consider a commercial chair, you can spend as little as £80 a seat, up to almost probably £800 a chair, or more, depending on your fit out. Service installations are also non-contact sort of costs that your customer will not see, but will add to their ambience and their experience and comfort. You need to consider your extraction, your fresh air supply, new versus existing installations, and how you might adapt or maintain your installation. Remember, if you don't use a new installation, then you won't get a warranty for it. Your kitchen is a significant proportion of your restaurant fit-out costs. It's the engine room of your restaurant, and without a successful set-up kitchen, you are nothing. Think about your electrical and gas connections within your kitchen. Think about your plumbing, your commercial catering, and depending on the space of your kitchen, this can account for almost as much as 50 to 70% of your entire budget. An average 60 metre square kitchen can cost between £180,000 to £360,000, depending on the type of cooking that you're using and what its purpose is for front of house. Working within an existing kitchen space can dramatically reduce your construction costs. However, expect to refurbish, upgrade and maintain the existing kitchen equipment on your day-to-day. Other cost savings could be to lease equipment. We talked about funding earlier. This puts cost on the revenue expenditure rather than capital expenditure, i.e. you're actually taking it out your profit line rather than your initial capital expenditure at the start of a project. You might also consider second-hand equipment. However, in this instance, again, you don't have any warranties and you need to comply to the latest regulations. Other fixed costs you might consider is your toilet areas. Your requirements for a number of cubicles is actually based on building regs, although this can vary from council to council too. Your cost per cubicle will be increased with the higher levels of its specification, and you need to consider whether you're going to use dedicated male and female or unisex cubicles. Unisex toilet cubicles tend to have less requirements for total circulation space and can cut down that back of house space that you need. In discussing the types of cost centres that can add to your cost of your unit, you need to consider the size, i.e. the floor space, the entirety of any new fit out versus renovating, any previous uses and reuse of the existing floor, walls and ceiling finishes, or services, or even fittings and fixed furniture, any structural works that are required, your type of offer. Your finishes for a fine dining restaurant will be more than your fast casual. Your type of finish is dictated by that type of use and how durable your restaurant fit out needs to be. in consideration of your location, a station or a shopping centre will cost more than a high street location. Also, you need to consider the quality and level of specification of your kit and infrastructure. When we consider this, we might think of a basic finish. This would include the flooring, the furniture, the counters, the front of house and the back of house fit out. What you do for your staff in terms of your toilets, your restrooms and any reception area that you have. This is ideally a basic finish for a start-up business or a small franchise or smaller restaurant. Despite the lower cost for this restaurant fit out, it's still possible to build a good degree of individuality. It creates a function, creates the right aesthetic and a pleasing space for your customers and your client base that you've established for what you're looking for. We might also consider an enhanced finish for our restaurant. By spending a little bit more money on that restaurant fit out, it's possible to increase the choices available. Whether this means a larger amount of bespoke joinery, more expensive materials, or the addition of unique features, we're all adding to the ambience and the heritage for your restaurant. These defining features might impact your cuisine, and also spending more can help yield you some really stunning results. Hiring fine dining restaurants are usually a preserve of larger prestigious restaurants, which are targeting an audience for whom ambience, uniqueness, pedigree and exquisite quality are the hallmarks of desirable dining experience. A more luxurious restaurant fit out results in more luxurious costs as well. We need to target for our client customer base. So in this section we talked about costs and cost centres, where your money will be spent. If you need any more help in respect to this, please give me an email. You can contact me through our website or contact me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to help.